You mentioned there was a Tower of Babel-like events when languages were dispersed. So, from what star system does English come, if at all? Or does it evolve subsequently from Celtic, Latin, German, etc.? Yeah, I mean, because in Star Trek, they all speak English, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. The English language has evolved the English language evolved out of Aldebaran. And it was a language that was specifically chosen because it was very, very limited in its ability to relate and to describe events. Now, what's interesting about that is that it was chosen specifically in order that the ability to share information accurately and in great depth would be limited. Now, all of the languages we have on this planet, many of them have been changed from their original form. Are all extraterrestrial languages. They wouldn't go out and create new languages. They would, when the decision was made by the Orion group and the Biru to alter the language, to separate humanity and to confuse all the languages, they chose languages they knew. And they dumbed them down, obviously. They dumbed them down. Interestingly enough, the more advanced civilizations, let me take that back. The more advanced languages are still those that write in hieroglyphic, which are your Eastern languages. The Germanic, Slavic languages come from very deep in the Orion system. There is not a huge difference between those languages and the Draconian language. Okay? The warrior class language of sounds and speech. Now, I say that because the royals of these star nations, specifically those that have caste systems, they have their own language. And whenever they're talking to superior or underlings, they use a different type of language so that whenever the royal lines are talking to themselves, no one else understands what they're saying, you see. Some of that was prevalent here on Earth for a while. It wasn't maintained. It was too difficult to maintain here on Earth. The French language is a derivative from the Taygeta star system in the Pleiades. It is not exact, by any stretch, but the sounds and the vowels and the inflections are from an original language that was Pleiadian. Okay, we talked about that. The Asian language derived itself out of the Zeta Reticuli star systems. Now, what's interesting about that is that the Zetas themselves don't actually speak a language, but they conquered and absorbed slaves, captives that did use language. And the language that they learned to speak is in fact what we now would today refer to as the Asian languages. And how that system evolved is that a layer of management was built between the Zetas themselves and the slaves, the conquered people. And the telepathic language would be given to the management level, and then the management level would relay their wishes or their direct orders or what it is their agenda is, et cetera, in this specific language. And this specific language, the Asian language, is in essence the Zeta language spoken. All right? So if the Zetas were standing there or hiding somewhere or hovering, they would hear what everybody was saying. They could read their minds, their chains of thoughts in the language that they themselves telepathically communicate with, but don't speak. Okay? So the Asian language is a spoken telepathic language from the Zeta Reticuli region. And that's a very broad star system out there. The Hebrew is an Anunnaki language. The Sumerian language is Nibiru. Okay, now Nibiru and Anunnaki are two different tribes. They work together, but they're two different tribes. Okay, the Nibiru is the royal line. The Anunnaki is that middle management we were talking about. Okay? So the history of this planet is fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. I do not know where Portuguese came from, though. I'm going to add that as a question. Portuguese and Spanish, I don't know. I may have it somewhere in my old notes. Okay. Thanks, JP. Hey, guys, that was a good question. Thank you. I'm sorry it took so long to answer it.